USA has always been a friend of India, but recently the tables have turned and there has been some of bit issues. So we have to see like how strong is US military to understand that what if that situation arises.
The US has 1,400,000 active military personnel. This figure places it in third place in this category.
It's third.
China has the
India has
largest
more.
army with slightly above 2 million soldiers, while India comes in second place. This doesn't sound that impressive, but what makes the US military stand out is not necessarily the raw number of men. The US has unquestionable air supremacy. The US military is number one in air power, with 13,260 total military aircraft. A total that is greater
And there are
than the other
13,000.
greatest air forces
Oh
combined.
no. It's like there's 6 planes and our 1 plane.
2,085 are air-to-air
We are
fighters,
gone.
715
Oh my
ground attack
God.
aircraft, 945
Oh.
transportation, 5,768
I
helicopters,
was like expecting
and
it to be removed from the
967.
list.
And we are.
The US is number one in each aircraft category,
Oh my
except for
God.
air-to-ground forces, where it's slightly topped by
Only
Russia.
Russia is the one.
The US has a powerful navy that is designed
No, we all
to work
together
in
cannot
conjunction
fight
with its air
USA,
forces.
let alone India alone.
It has 20
Yeah.
aircraft carriers. 11 are regular fixed-wing carriers, while 9 are capable of hosting only helicopters and short
really want to
takeoff
visit
planes
these
like
carriers.
F-35B.
Wow.
This is almost half of the world's total number of aircraft carriers. Most of the others belong to Allied
We
countries.
are last
If we
third.
take into account only regular fixed-wing aircraft capacity,
In total,
the total
all of them does not
combined
have
deck space
equal of
the US
USA.
aircraft carriers is over twice that of all the other nations combined. To complement this, the US Navy has the greatest number of destroyers and ranks third
US
in the
is
number
always
of
on
90
top.
destroyers.
Always. Oh.
The numbers of the US naval strength are a bit tricky. If we count the total number of naval assets, the US falls in fourth place, behind Russia and China, and even behind North Korea, that boasts a surprising first place.
How come North Korea has
However,
that much
in case
money?
of maritime conflict, it would still be hard to counter the power of the US Navy, supported by overwhelming air supremacy and allied forces. Land power. The US is slightly behind Russia regarding raw numbers. American ground forces number
What are raw numbers?
6,289 tanks,
Tanks.
39,000 armoured vehicles,
Armored vehicles.
Oh.
So vehicles on the ground.
1,465
Where is India?
I'm looking for
self-propelled
Indian
artillery,
flag.
and 1,366 rocket
Oh my
projectors.
god, we are so far behind.
However, Russia has a lot of outdated vehicles
Tanks are
with
scary.
questionable performance in case of a real conflict. Meanwhile, the US military has a broad technological edge. The US has 5,800 nuclear warheads that make it the world's second
Wow,
largest. in nuclear
5,800.
warpower.
I think so
In this
India
video,
has just
they're
200.
analysing the conventional
400.
military strength, but it can't be denied that a nuclear arsenal does bring a certain status. Even if things don't escalate to a full-blown nuclear war, it's intimidating to any country to be armoured with such nuclear
Yeah,
power.
never
Yes.
fight USA.
The quality.
Quality. That's
US
the
Army
most important
consists
part.
entirely of trained professionals, and many have real combat experience. Since the beginning of this century, the US has been involved in military conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq,
That is the main part. They have
Pakistan,
practice.
Somalia, Libya,
Practice of
Uganda, and
Fighting
Yemen.
wars.
Yeah.
We don't have
While
practice
other
of fighting
countries
wars.
still
The
rely
last
on
war we had was in
conscripts to fill the
1999.
numbers, the US can field an army of well-trained, experienced professionals. The equipment, the military assets, and the technology used in combat have excellent quality. This is the defining reason why US casualties are usually fewer than those of their adversaries. A strong ability to project power is another defining trait of the United States military. Size,
Projecting power.
technology, and experience are nothing if you can't reach the enemy. Power projection is the ability of a state to deploy and sustain forces outside its territory. Only a few
USA
states
has
are capable to
aircraft
overcome the
carriers,
difficulties that involve
jets.
power
Does
projection,
everything.
and the US excels at it.
Yeah.
This is made possible by several factors. The home base of the US is safe. The neighbouring countries are friendly. Potential enemies
Canada
are
and Mexico
far away.
cannot fight
The large
America.
landmass
Yeah.
makes it a country that is hard to invade. It also has coastlines along 2 oceans and strategic islands that hold military bases. The US forces
Hawaii?
can reach far, fast, and deploy great numbers of forces supported by the enforcement of air and sea superiority, combined with excellent transportation capabilities. Even if it doesn't engage in combat, the US can enforce naval and air blockades that can severely cripple an enemy's economy.
Just watching
the
them
US
is scary.
has by far the
Scary, yes.
largest network of military bases operating outside of its territory.
Baza.
Information regarding the exact number and location of such bases involves classified
US has even
information,
asked India
so we
for
can only
setting
estimate
up
the
a
total
base,
extent
but
of
India
overseas
refused.
military presence. Back in 2013, the Pentagon stated that there were around 600 military bases overseas. A rough estimate
600.
would be around 1,000
Like all over the,
overseas US
like,
military
world?
compounds.
Yes, they have bases like in some other
Approximately
place.
165,000
country.
military personnel is stationed outside the United States. This doesn't include areas of conflict such as Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
The US has significant forces deployed in around 55 countries and autonomous territories. It is also
Oh!
estimated that more
They're
than
everywhere.
150
Even
countries
Pakistan
have a
is-
certain
Yeah.
degree of US military presence.
Even in Thailand, Australia.
Alliances. The United States can rely on a vast network of alliances. It is the de facto leader of NATO, the world's strongest military alliance. 18 other countries are designated as major non-NATO allies. This list includes countries like Australia,
Yes.
New Zealand, Japan,
Pakistan.
South Korea, Philippines,
Yeah, not
Thailand, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Egypt, Israel.
But why India is not an
Argentina,
ally? I
and
don't
Brazil.
understand.
Yeah.
India should be an ally.
Taiwan's status is a bit more complicated and it can be considered a de facto ally. Some countries are not formal allies but have a strong strategic partnership
India.
with the US. One notable example is India, that
Whoa,
participates
India.
in regular military drills together with US forces and some of its allies.
But why isn't it
Economy.
an official partner?
Modern warfare is sustained in the long term by two main factors: the capacity to produce military equipment and the capacity to spend money on
They
defence.
are
Money,
very
money.
American
rich.
defence companies are
Very
the
rich.
indisputable top producers of weaponry.
Texas is rich. we
Among the
know.
world's top 10 defence suppliers, 5 of them are American companies.
Oh.
Lockheed Martin is the biggest.
This
It
is
reported
very.
a revenue of
India is
almost
lacking
60
behind. We don't
billion
have any
US
producer.
dollars in 2019. That's close to Russia's entire annual military spending.
Oh.
The strength of the US military is
One
also
company
due to
versus
its
the whole
huge
Russia.
military budget. In 2019, spending on the US military was a whopping
Russia is huge.
What is that?
$732 billion US
Yeah,
dollars.
again
That's
third.
almost 3 times more than China,
But
the
nowhere
world's
close.
second largest
Yeah.
military spender.
It's 10
and
times
is
of our
roughly
budget.
1/3
Yeah.
of the entire world's defense budget. While Russia is commonly regarded as the second most powerful army in the world, its budget consists of only $65 billion. Arguably, there is an aspect of purchasing power. For example, it's cheaper to pay a Russian or Chinese soldier, but the cost of high-quality military equipment is still the same around the world. The
Yeah.
reason that the US can afford such an enormous military budget is that it's supported by a strong economy. America has been the world's largest economy since 1871.
But
Its
China is
nominal
coming.
GDP is currently $21.44 trillion US dollars.
Whoa.
This is almost a quarter of the global economy. And it's
What
backed
the
with plenty
hell?
of natural resources, advanced
even the
infrastructure,
least
and technology.
smallest-
3.3.
Yeah.
Besides the ability to sustain an enormous defence budget, the US often uses its economic strength as a weapon by enforcing economic sanctions.
Yeah. Against us.
Soft factor.
Putting tariffs. Not
Soft
good.
power is another factor that comes into play when assessing a country's might. The
Soft
US is
power.
world-beating in culture, education, and technology. American
USA
pop
has
culture
soft
has an
cocks.
enormous influence, and this won't change
Star
anytime
Wars.
soon. America
I
also
think the
hosts
cinema is a
most
big
of the
influence
world's
because
top-ranking
all Hollywood
universities
movies,
with
you
a
know,
record number
it's
of
watched
international
everywhere.
students. The US leads the world of technology and digitalization as home to the world's most
Technology-wise, I
influential
consider
tech
China,
companies
they are,
like
like, far
Apple,
ahead.
Google,
Talk
Microsoft,
about
and
technology.
Facebook.
No, I think
No?
the USA
US
It's easy
is
to
Very
think
US.
that this
Whoa.
doesn't seem important in warfare, but imagine an enemy soldier that would have to attack the country where his cousin studies, the country of his favourite music band, the country of his favourite actors from the
Oh,
movie that
yeah.
he watches on an American
Everything.
media platform like YouTube, or an American smartphone with American software.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
Finally,
If
there
you
is
fight
another
America,
critical
USA is banned,
aspect.
then what?
It is called the will to
We
fight.
lack a lot.
And this is
Yeah.
the single most important factor in war. The will to fight is the disposition to engage in combat, the determination to keep fighting even when facing precarious odds, and finally to win. At an individual level, a soldier with a low will to fight will avoid engagement with the enemy and is likely to
Yes.
flee when things get tough. A battle is won when the enemy's will to fight is broken. Wars don't end when one military destroys the other. Wars end when one side grows weary of fighting, doesn't see any further purpose in the continuation of the conflict.
Actually,
Exactly.
that's the right point.
The national will to fight is what keeps a nation fighting. This is commonly linked to a sense of patriotism, national identity, and motivation generated by the idea that one fights for what is right. In the past, this has been a strong point of the US, as
Yes.
Americans have been fighting against dictators and terrorists that lacked concern for
And
human
for
life
so
and dignity.
long.
In contrast, the USA has been regarded as a country that embodies values of freedom, democracy, and rule of law. It was the country that defined such values.
Yes.
Even more, it was the country that was willing to fight for these values. The American soldier has been motivated by a sense of moral supremacy rooted in the country's Christian tradition. However, America doesn't seem to be so cohesive in its values anymore.
Oh.
There are many factors intertwined that provoke this. It's a complex topic that deserves a study on its own. But the outcome is that America is now a country that is greatly divided among ideological lines and systems of
I
belief.
think so. Every
Many
democratic
of its
country is
citizens
divided.
are not sure
Even
what to
India
believe in
is.
anymore.
Yeah.
But
or
the
even
main
what they
root is
stand
always,
for.
patriotism.
There have been many lessons
or
in history.
nationalism.
Small nations became great empires by holding high moral standards along with a disciplined and motivated army. A great empire's fall was usually preceded by internal strife and moral crisis.
Yes.
The final story of the United States of America as a global power is not yet written. The nation's strength rests upon its citizens and their decisions. It's a matter of this great nation getting back its cohesion and moral compass. That is, if it wants to keep its status as the world's greatest superpower and defender of freedom.
US military is still the strongest, and they are very strong, like with a big margin. And also the big thing is, like, all the manufacturers and all the the weapon producers are still with USA, and they can do that whatever they want. For example, if they see China coming too close to them, they can just ramp up their production and then again maintain a big lead. So it looks like they are undefeatable at this point of time.
Yeah, they are the strongest, and what I feel is that the whole world, like considering India as well, we are like so dependent on USA. Like they were talking about the cinema, the songs, and everything. So apart from all the weapons, wars, and this and that things, we are so dependent on their movies and this thing. If everything is banned, or we are not friends with USA, it will be very very difficult for us to. I think so. I'm gonna miss. I don't want to be anything like wars are happening. We are always friends with USA. That is what I'm praying always.
Yeah, because I also want that to blossom, because I want, like, India USA should be that good friends that even Bollywood movies are watched by American people more and more, because
Yeah.
I think so the whole portrait of Bollywood movies among you guys is just we dance and this and that.
No.
But there are a lot of fun movies that I think so when you watch you'll feel like, oh, these are Oscar worthy movies, but we never send them to Oscars. So what do you guys think about it? Do let us know in the comment section below. So do like, share, and
Subscribe.
bye.